Hi everyone and welcome back to the Couch Buddies, and tonight we will have a Foxy Mario!
And we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic space strategy games, so stick around, we'll be right back. Ginyu Force! Welcome guys! Welcome to another Couchisode, another day, another dollar, and here we are back again with a lot of old and moldy games as usual. I hope we had a great week. We had a great week.
Oh yeah.
And we're back at it, and we're gonna start immediately kicking right off with some action with exactly what I mentioned. One of the most iconic, space, let's say, or space-themed RTS games. We're going to talk. Wait. Roll back.
And roll your tongue first.
We're going to be talking about Homeworld from 1999, and this was developed by Relic Entertainment and published by Sierra Studios, and this was obviously for Windows 98.
I can tell you something real quick. I sucked at playing that game. It was a cool game, I have to admit, but I sucked at it.
I'm not I can't say that I'm the biggest fan of real-time strategy games, although I played, all the classics like, Warcraft, Command and Conquer, and I mean, Commandos, for example. Although Commandos, yeah, it's real-time strategy, but a little bit
very
different
technical
concept anyways.
Extremely
Yeah, exactly. So, this was amongst the best RTS game published by Sierra in the late 90s. Homeworld is a space-themed RTX that aims to mix the visual experience of Star Wars with the plot that is similar to Battlestar Galactica series. Alex Garden, in an interview in 1999, said to PC Gamer that he wanted to correct some of the limitations he felt when he based himself on a game that we all know called X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, with the aim of representing not only the first person, and with the aim of not only representing the first-person combat, but also the overall experience of leading a whole squadron into battle. The development of Homeworld started in 1997, just after Relic Entertainment was founded. The plot takes us to the exile of the Couchies civilization from their home planet Karak, after being destroyed by the Titan Empire in retaliation for their development of the hyperspace jump technology. Just like most RTS games, its gameplay is based on gathering resources, building military forces, and using them to defeat our enemies that go from pirates, mercenaries, and rebels along the way. The fleets and resources developed of the player carry over from level to level, which means that planning ahead is a key in order to succeed. It was very, very praised by its amazing 3D graphics, and quoting GameSpot back then, they said that it had some of the most impressive graphics ever, and this was back in 1999. The graphical engine quality was so good that it allowed them to create the game's cutscenes in its own engine rather than using pre-recorded videos like it was usual back then. Something that we were used to see in many games of the, throughout the mid-90s until the late 90s, especially when the mid-90s we had the whole full motion video thing that came up. It was also the highest rated game of the year of 1999, and it was a major success by selling over 500,000 copies in the first 6 months. So for those people that don't know Homeworld, this game still continues today with a great legacy, and we're going to talk about that in just a few seconds. Later in 2000, for example, an expansion called Homeworld Cataclysm was released, and in 2003, its sequel followed called Homeworld 2, which I've never played, and I love this game. But I've never played Homeworld 2. But there's a good opportunity for this, and why? Because going forward 16 years and after the game's ownership passing through several companies and the source code being partially lost, Gearbox Software, which is the ultimate owner of the rights of Homeworld, published the Homeworld Remastered Collection, which includes both the first and second games remastered for modern machines that counted with the help of the mod community that has been around for decades and still to this day enhancing the experience of this amazing RTS. So this is a game that it was all developed by the community. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say all developed, but many of the elements available on these remasters were coming from the mod community. And if there is a good example of, you know, made for the gamers by gamers, this is actually the example of it. So it's still not a cheap game, I would say. It still costs 31 euros, both on GOG and Steam. But this is the remastered collection that includes the first and the second games remastered. The original one, I'm sure that you'll be able to find it somewhere, but it's a very, very good RTS. I'm sure that we'll have people in the audience like Viriatus. I'm sure that he loves these things because he's a great fan of space strategy and some other type of, you know, these types of
you
games.
mentioned the Homeworld of Karak. I actually got a couple of months ago a game called Homeworld Deserts of Karak that looks like a more traditional RTS game on the Homeworld, on the floor, on the ground.
The Karak,
try it out. It looked cool.
The Karak was actually the planet that got destroyed by the Titan Empire in the first, or as the plot or the base plot.
Story then.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's a prequel.
Prequel,
It
exactly.
was actually destroyed by the Titan Empire, as I mentioned, and we're basically see the events of them fleeing, you know, building a fleet, you know, building spaceships in order to, you know, progress in the levels and just, you know, conquer new worlds to live in against the Titan Empire, as we mentioned.
I need to find some time to play these games. Seriously.
Please do. The game is actually quite difficult. I'm going to tell you that, even for a space strategy game of the late 90s. It was not filled with, you know, help here, help there, and something like that. The game was really challenging, and I think that this is really a nice point. I remember facing some difficulties with it when I played it for the first time. Indeed, that's what we expect from RTS. But moving on right now, I think that we have a participation or you know, a contribution from one of our viewers.
Let me have a look.
One that, yeah, we do. I think we do.
Okay, let me pick this up then.
We do.
Tell everyone in a sort of a jingle. Guess who's back? Back again.
Back again.
Hugo's back.
Who goes back
to the couch?
To the couch.
Oh yeah.
Guess who's back?
Guess who's back?
Welcome back. Guess who's back? Yeah, guys, let's go right over to Hugo's contribution today. Once again, thank you very much for showing us or sending us this game, and let's look at the trailer.
Hi there, couch buddies. Hope everyone is feeling great, and particularly healthy. The year is 2003, and Semi Corporation is the studio behind Dolphin Blue, a 2D side-scroller that has clear similarities to the Metal Slug franchise. The game's premise is pretty straightforward, and based on a future reality where the planet is mostly composed of water. Yes, I am fully aware of the plot and the incoming Waterworld vibes. But let's forget that awful movie with Kevin Costner and go back to the game. As a player, we can control Iroh or Anne and enlist the help of a dolphin in order to defeat the Evil Empire, an organization that plans to control the Earth's resources. This game does not introduce anything particularly innovative, but relies on solid gameplay with colorful graphics and an acceptable difficulty curve. There are also some special attacks that we can activate with the help of our blue friend, which can become particularly useful in battles, as we can see throughout this video. I am not aware that this game received a console port, but the title is available via MAME, and I strongly encourage everyone to give it a shot. I would also like to know if any of you have played this game in the arcade or even through emulation. Hope to see everyone soon, and as usual guys, game on.
Thank you very much, Hugo, for this contribution. I have to tell you, I did not know this game, and just by looking at it, I'm actually very tempted to try this, because it's a very modern Metal Slug, you know.
Metal Slug on steroids how I see it. With dolphins.
With dolphins, cool. Yeah, it's exactly. So cool. Especially the part on the first level that he rides the dolphin on the sea.
Yeah, but
and then there's a lot of stuff to kill there's a lot of stuff to kill everywhere. I find it really, how can I say, really attractive. Let's call it that way. Attractive. It's the best way to describe it.
You'll say tough as nails when you play it.
Exactly. But I'm going to try it for sure.
Cool.
I promise that I'm going to try this one. Hugo, thanks very much for being with us once again.
Welcome
you are,
back to the couch.
As everybody knows, you're already let's say a very frequent client or customer of our store. Let's say it that way. Thank you very much. That was amazing, and I think that it's a good game that everyone should try.
Very cool.
I'm gonna try it myself. At least by the looks of it, it looks absolutely awesome. So, Blade, what are we going to talk about now?
Well, I'm going to travel for the first time in the couch to the Master System. To the Sega Master System.
Oh,
I think it's our first in the couch.
Okay.
Even in the Portuguese episode, I think this is the first. But I'm going to talk about a very special game that I loved on this system. That was Sega's attempt to face the Mario's success on the Nintendo. And they actually made a great game. They didn't beat Mario, they didn't get anywhere near it in sales. But this was a very cool game. Launched in '89 called Psycho Fox. I don't know if you played this one.
No, I did not, but I had to look at some trailers of the game, and that's why, I mean, that's why the intro, right? Because it's really a Super Mario, but with a fox instead of...
Basically. No, but this...
Or we could say the same about RoboCod, if you remember. It was Super Mario, but with a fish.
Of sorts, yeah. No, but
sorts.
You actually, at the time when we played this game, some mechanics were still not in games that there are nowadays. And one of these mechanics was that you could actually swap your character to a different character and actually do different things, because we played with the fox, the Psycho Fox, and you could swap to a hippo that was a slower character, but it was very strong, and you could just punch the rocks and everything else that any other character couldn't. You could also swap to a tiger that could move really fast, and to a monkey that could jump really higher than the other characters. And at some points of the game, you really needed them to actually progress. And Psycho Fox and either of these characters could carry a thread called Birdfly. That was just a bird that was attached to you that would make you immune to one hit. Like saying, if you get hit, it runs away and you don't die. And you could also use it as a boomerang. It was really cool. And this game had a very simple and typical story that you basically had a priest in a temple, and an evil fox came to take control of it and started to corrupt the land and create hordes and hordes of monsters, and you actually come along, a young fox, to save the day called Psycho Fox. This is a very elaborate story, you see. Well, and this game has actually the typical mechanics of cleared one level, and I think it was on the second level or the third, I'm not too sure right now. You had the boss, and this was really cool. This game wasn't a Mario beater, but introducing new mechanics, and the game was colorful, it was challenging, and it was fun to play. They actually had something here that they could have taken further in time and developed this franchise even more, but play this one. It's still worth it.
I think Sega tried its attempt at Mario with Alex Kidd, and I think that was probably the most, let's say, accurate representation of something that... I mean, we could dispute or we could argue that would be either Alex Kidd or could be Sonic, the ones that were Mario competitors. But the thing is that they all had new mechanics. I mean, especially Sonic with the ring mechanic that you couldn't you couldn't actually die.
And everything else.
Exactly, and with the spinning. I mean, there was new mechanics, and I think that Sega realized at some point that there was no point in competing with Mario or with Nintendo by making something that was similar but making something that was different. And I guess that it was really the point of I mean, if we recall that documentary from Netflix that the president at that time of Sega of America explained, it was an idea of making something better and showcasing that they could do something that Nintendo couldn't. But another topic for another time. Let's go to our air freshener moment right away, where we talk about these very, very nice recent indie games that we want you guys to try out because they're very good. And props to my good friend Vinicius from Nerd Picnic. He was the one that got me into this game. and I bought it I think a month ago or something, around a month and a half ago, for a very good price, for the PlayStation 4. Yes, I bought the game for a console.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm happy because it's really, this is one of those games.
Let me pinch. Ow. Seriously? I'm
Yeah,
awake?
that's real. You are awake.
Real?
You are awake.
Wow.
It's one of those games that, I mean, even if I would play it on the PC, I would be playing with the gamepad, because this is really the type of game to that. Without further ado, let's talk about Savage Halloween. This was developed and created in 2021 and was developed by Second Boss and published by Cubite Interactive. So Savage Halloween is an arcade platformer, an action platformer reminiscent of games like Contra. Play as one of 3 distinct monsters to flee Earth's eternal party and return home. Savage Halloween does not offer much of a story content. There's a few brief cutscenes that describe the lore and the world of the story. Simply put, there is an evil vampire that blocked the portal back to the afterlife, and the heroes must defeat him to return home. While adding to world building and explaining the conflict, the characters are basic, the plot is minimal, and the story is completely bland. However, considering that the game is an action platformer, the story does not need to be substantial. Despite not being impactful, the story establishes the premise of the game and allows the player to focus on the gameplay. Many enemies, especially bosses that are inspired in other characters, for example, there's an enemy that throws a hammer, like a character from Super Mario that we all know who he is. It has extremely challenging bosses that really take you back to the old days, where you had to stop and think about the patterns of movements, memorize them, and then act accordingly. It might sound, as I said, really basic, but the game really takes us back to the Metroid and Mega Man days, where things were, were really difficult, and we would spend like many times attempting that, and then there was a problem that if we would lose all our lives and continues, then we had to start from the beginning. So it's exactly like this. Although I would more put it, like I said in the beginning, like Contra style, because of the weapons that you can use. But the whole overall theme is just about Halloween. We have different characters have different soundtracks and effects. We have a lot of different enemies. It's a very good and fun game. I think I didn't have so much fun with a platformer game like this since, like, I don't know, Gato Robot or something like that we already talked about really here on one of the air freshener. It's a great game, guys. It's really worth it. I bought it on the PS4 store for 50 cents during a sale that they had. The normal price of the game is $4.99, and you can acquire it on almost everything from Steam, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox. It's available, I mean, everywhere, and you can try it out. It's a really fun game. It has this Halloween Halloween theme, so you guys take a look at it, because it's absolutely amazing, and this is something that you guys should try. So, I think that we're gonna have to conclude for today, don't you think, Blade?
Oh yeah, we'll have to.
But before we do that, what do we want to do before we close?
Let me guess. We need subscribers, so hit the subscribe button.
Yes.
And the like. Oh yeah, you like it, don't you?
Guys,
oh yeah.
Likes are important. It just helps us through the algorithm. We also want you to share this with your friends. Share it with your, closed ones, the people that love or enjoy, our talks about, old games and stuff like that. We really want to continue growing and continue bringing this subject. So again, leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you didn't like. Consider subscribing to the channel once again. And as we always say, we hope we see each other next week. And game on, guys. See ya.
Have a great week, everyone. See you next week, and game on.